Hello everybody, and welcome back to 20 Years of Favorites, the series where I review my personal favorite Cars diecast in my collection from each year, leading up to the 20th anniversary of Cars. Over the past few weeks now, we've been talking about how the Cars diecast line expanded a little bit with each year. 2006 mainly just gave us our main characters and our first couple of variants. 2007 primarily focused on giving us more character variants and the film's most notable side characters, and 2008 really began to expand the line, giving us more specific variants and more background characters. And for the past several weeks now, I've been alluding to how 2009 and 2010 really greatly expanded the toy line, bringing it much closer to what we see today. And I think that's completely true. 2009 is a year where the Cars diecast line expanded a lot. In terms of the diecasts we got, it primarily did more of what we saw in 2008. More of the film's background characters and characters that just have maybe one or two lines, and more specific character variants, very specific character variants like the impound tuners and stuff like that. And on the subject of the impound tuners, 2009 really took a lot of the concepts 2008 introduced to the toy line and ran with them, such as deluxes, a larger character class that was introduced in 2008 and really expanded in 2009, or chases, a concept to have limited edition cars that began in 2008 and, again, expanded in 2009. But I think what easily makes 2009 such a significant year to the history of the Cars diecast line is what it added outside of the main line, because for the first time ever, we got cars that weren't from the movies. This year introduced the Storytellers Collection, a toy line based on a Cars book, the World of Cars book from 2008. And also this year we got our first ever Christmas cars based on the book Mater Saves Christmas. This year really brings us closer to where the diecast line is today with the first ever cars that we now call the Expanded Universe releases. Having different toy lines outside of the main line, which, yes, now we have a main line, right? Because now we have sub-series, side lines. It really does expand the toy line in a way we haven't seen before. And we'll see in 2010, non-Cars 1 movie releases become quite prominent with the introduction of Cars Tunes. 2009 also gave us one of the biggest experiments in Cars diecast line history with the introduction of the lenticulars. And while they are quite controversial, once again, it shows you that the Cars diecast line is expanding beyond what we were initially seeing. Over the past few years, we've been building up more and more characters from the first movie, but this year we go beyond and experiment with types of cars not from the movies and also new types of toys. Another significant type of car released this year from the movies are haulers. Once again, a different size class of characters. So you could really see after just sort of singles and multi-packs. This year we got deluxes and chases. Now this year we have storytellers, we have lenticulars, we have haulers, in addition to all the stuff we've seen in past years. It really is fascinating to see the diecast line grow and take shape into what we have today, or something a lot more similar to what we have today. And my favorite item from this year, well, honestly, because of just how many great things we got, it was really hard for me to pick. Originally, I was going to go with Elvis RV, a fantastic deluxe release from 2009 that's been a personal favorite of mine ever since I was very young. But then, once I remembered haulers started this year, I considered going with Jerry Recycled Batteries. My mind then changed to Hummer Sven, but then I remembered that Frank came out in 2009, and while I think Frank is easily the best item to come out this year, Hummer Sven is still my personal favorite. So let's talk about him. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 20 Years of Favorites. Today, for episode 4, focusing on 2009, we're going to be taking a look at Hummer Sven. Hummer Sven is a character designed to parody Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was, at the time of the first Cars film's release, the governor of California. Yeah, Arnold went from being a massive action star, and when I say massive, I mean both in terms of popularity and also in terms of physically, because that man is absolutely huge. He decided to go into politics, and he became the governor of California for a couple of years there. Arnold Schwarzenegger is, of course, a celebrity that's very often parodied. A lot of people doing impressions of his very distinct Austrian accent. And for whatever reason, the first Cars movie decided to do this as well. During the McQueen is Missing montage, we see this car designed after Arnold, who says, "Lightning McQueen must be found at all costs." This is, around the same time we see the Jay Leno parody. And while Jay Limo was voiced by Jay Leno, you might not know that Hummer Sven here is actually not voiced by Arnold. It was someone else just doing an impression, though obviously it's based on him in his role as the governor of California. It's also not named after him. His name is Hummer Sven. I'm not exactly sure where that name came from, other than the fact that Sven is a European name and he's a Hummer. I'm not sure if that's some sort of specific Arnold Schwarzenegger reference, but, this is an item that I wanted for a very, very, very long time. For many years, I put it on, all my Christmas lists and birthday lists, but it really started to creep up in price until it got crazy expensive a couple years back, so I never got my hands on it. That was until fellow Cars community member, the Piston 11, got this massive haul of cars, and he already had a Hummer Sven, and he sold me several items, including Hummer Sven, Gil, Jerry Recycled Batteries. If you've been watching my channel for the last few years, you probably remember this massive haul, and I was finally able to add Sven to my collection. So why do I like this item so much? I just think it's really funny. Arnold Schwarzenegger is, I've made jokes about Arnold Schwarzenegger for years, and I do a really bad Arnold impression that you just heard me do. It's just a case where sort of a running joke, inside joke that I have with my families and friends. My family and friends is reflected in the Cars universe. So Hummer Sven means a lot to me because jokes about Arnold Schwarzenegger, as silly as it sounds, mean a lot to me. So that's why I like Sven so much. It's so funny to see somebody that, I do a stupid impression of, and we make jokes about so often, here in the Cars universe. Easily the best design here is just how much it looks like Arnold. Genuinely pull up a picture of him from the 80s, or honestly even now, right? He's got a beard these days, but this character genuinely really looks like him with the way they have his roof here. With the sort of roof rack going on and a sort of felt roof top. This really looks like his hair. I especially love these yellow pieces, the sort of cage around it that again looks like how he styled his hair. He pretty much still styles his hair. The squint of the eyes looks genuinely a lot like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even the shape of his face and his very strong cheekbones are sort of referenced in the shape of the car and the shape of the mouth down here. You could tell they definitely had a really fun time designing this character to look like the celebrity that they're parodying, and I think the diecast did an absolutely excellent job at capturing that. He also has a pretty prominent gap in his teeth. I'm not sure if that's something that Arnold Schwarzenegger has, but perhaps it is. And having him be a Hummer was genuinely such a great idea because Hummers, of course, are military vehicles, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is known for being this big, buff action star, right? Not sure why the yellow coloring, but I think it works. I genuinely think it works really, really well here. But yeah, genuinely such a fantastic design, and I think as far as cars based on celebrities go, this is easily the best one, at least in the diecast line. Jay Limo in the movie is designed to really look like Jay Leno with the notable big chin reflected in the bumper, but the Jay Limo diecast, in my opinion, we got a picture of him over there, never really captured his likeness all that well. Not as well as Hummer Sven captured Arnold's likeness. So yeah, absolutely fantastic facial expression there. And I just love the sculpt of this item and just how much it looks like a real Hummer. Hummers aren't a vehicle that you see all that much, since again, they are primarily military vehicles. Yeah, this really, really does look like one. He's very large. He was, of course, a deluxe. As I was saying earlier, this year really expanded the deluxe line. This year we got a ton of hauler cabs and, a lot of these more sort of not one-off, but one-bit characters like him and Elvis RV and such. You've got these nice treaded tires. Yeah, I don't really have all that much to say, but this design is so spot on to a real Hummer vehicle that has very, very distinct shading. And it is interesting to see shaping, sorry. And it is interesting to see this blacked out license plate. I wonder if that's a reference to this being a military vehicle, or if that's just Mattel not giving him a license plate. I'm not sure. Of course, we have gotten some other military vehicles over the years. In 2010, we received another one with Corporal Kim, who's quite similar, but I believe Sven continues to be a unique mold to this day. There's a look at the other side, and finally, there is a look at the base, which does have the copyright for H1 Hummer, as you can see. So yeah, genuinely such a fun and funny diecast, one I wanted for years because of just stupid little jokes and a bad impression I do, and one I'm so happy to finally have in my collection. And, you know, each week I've been talking about how these cars kind of reflect the year they're from, and, well, perhaps an item like Jerry Recycled Batteries or one of the Storyteller cars would reflect 2009 better. A Hummer Sven is still easily my favorite item from this year, and he continues to show just how much the diecast line is expanding and expanding into new places. This is the first deluxe we've taken a look at in this series. Now, next week, we'll be covering 2010, which was an absolutely massive year, giving us a ton of lenticulars, the Final Lap collection, and Cars Tunes. There was so much going on in 2010. I haven't picked my 2010 favorite just yet, but it's certainly going to be a difficult choice. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of 20 Years of Favorites. Bye now.